Please say your name and media before each.
Por favor, Hi, Luis. I'd like to ask you, I'd like to know what the level of motivation is within the team, looking forward to the team and to get to another Champions League final. Well, good afternoon to everybody. What it would need to play another Champions League final. We know how difficult it is to get there. We also know that we're facing a really tough opponent, but we're conscious of the fact that we also have our own armoury, and we could get through to the semi-final. The absences of Keita, Salah, Firmino, does that give you an advantage? How do you think that will influence the game tomorrow? I think obviously for them they are difficult losses, but for us it doesn't change anything, the way that we're going to dispute the game. We know how difficult it is to play in a stadium with such history. For them it's very important, but they have other players with other qualities that can also step in. They are also international players, so we have to respect them a lot. Hi, Luis. I wanted to ask you, you're coming back to Anfield. Is it more of a special game to come here for you? Is it a special thing? Obviously it's special. After enjoying a number of good years here, and I'm grateful for Liverpool for my time here, for the way they received me as a player. I'll always be thankful for that, because of the heritage of the club, and thanks to Liverpool. Obviously it's going to be very special to come back here, to play here. This time wearing a different shirt, but I have lovely memories of my time here and my career at Liverpool. How are you, Luis? Good. To prepare a game like this, knowing that you're great favourites within the game and understanding that Salah's out, it's 50-1, the odds for you to win this game. Do you have to kind of not believe that and have to understand that Liverpool, despite their absences, they can still create a great atmosphere here? I think you have to be conscious that despite us getting a good result in the first leg, we've been on the receiving end of tough blows, particularly in last year. So we have to, we have that in our minds when we're coming into this game, what happened last year. We also have to be conscious that they have an added extra here, which is their 12th man, the fans that they have here. It almost creates an extra player. How much they get behind their team, their enthusiasm. So we have to be careful and be aware of that. Hi, Luis. Could I ask you about this atmosphere at Anfield? We've spoken to fans, Liverpool fans, and they've said that the stadium almost shakes. I don't know if you experienced that and what memories you have of your time here. Obviously, as I've just said, it's an added extra for them. For any Liverpool player, it's an added extra for them. But we also have to understand that we're professionals, and we have to understand that we're in a semi-final, and try and manage that throughout the game. That their fans won't stop getting behind them, and they will do it throughout the whole game. If you're not on your game for a second, things can change. They're going to want their team to push on, to give more, and that's where we have to be careful. Looking at the first leg and the chances that Liverpool created, what has worried you most over these last few days? To try and stop them from creating chances, or to be more focused on scoring a goal as quickly as possible. I think you have to be aware of all the details within a game. First, you have to be conscious that from the first second they're going to come out and put us under pressure, all the enthusiasm that the fans can bring at home. And then we have to be aware of details within the game and not give away silly fouls, because they have tall players. So we don't need to lose the ball sillily, and we don't have to allow them to get into their stride and be dynamic in the way that they are, because they have fast players who can make the difference. So we have to play our own game. I think Milner said that perhaps we're not used to playing against opponents like us, but I don't think they're used to playing against us, a team that manages the ball well, that's good on the ball. I wanted to ask you about the manager, Mr. Valverde. You've won 2 consecutive leagues here. You're in the Cup final and you're in the semi-final of the Champions League. Do you think he receives enough credit? And what do you like most? What do the players like most about the manager? I don't think the manager changes whether he wins a couple of titles or not. He already has the respect as a manager before he came to Barcelona. I think he's a good manager, and I think he shows this all the time in every game, in the way that he prepares the team. I think he's always positive. This is the most important game you've played this season. How does a player get motivated for this? Do you need to be motivated at all, or is it already a given? I think knowing this is a Champions League semi-final says it all. I don't think it's the most important that we've played this season. Yes, I said in the lead up to the previous game, we're going to have some really difficult games, important games, and we'll have to play a good couple of games to get to the final. We played one of our best games in the season last week. Even though they had opportunities, we also had other opportunities. But now we have to play better than we did the other day, because we're going to face a really difficult atmosphere in which to play in. Do you expect the history of Anfield, do you think that will have an effect? Celebrating the goal last week, people who know about football, who love this sport, know the importance of the goal that I scored in the Champions League semi-final. I have all the respect in the world for the Liverpool fans, because I scored it and celebrated it with my fans. I say sorry, but the Liverpool fans would applaud me. But I'm very thankful to Liverpool, to the fans, to the club, and obviously it's clear that if I score a goal against Liverpool, I won't celebrate it in the same way I didn't do in Holland when I scored. You are almost on the edge of winning a treble. You who have played constantly, do you hope to win many more titles here at Barca? Obviously, as a player, as a professional, you dream about retiring at a club with so much tradition as Barcelona. It's not about me. Obviously, my dream is to play year upon year here and as much as possible, and to win as many titles as wearing this shirt demands. What does the fact that Salah will not be playing, what does it mean to you? I think I've already said it. He's a very important player. I think he's been up in the top 3 in the world of the last couple of years. I think he's really important for them. It's a big miss for them, but they also have players like Shaqiri, Sturridge, Origi, who can come in, who are quality players, and we have to be aware and careful.
How impressed have you been with the way Liverpool have improved, no matter what happens in this title race? I know the Liverpool have a really chance to win the Champions League, but I think they have a true competition now. They are focused on the Premier League as well, and I think they fight for the both titles.
Hola Luis, aquí Martín Einstein.
In what way has the 3-0 affected and the way that you will evaluate this game and the way that you lost the ball throughout the first leg? How do you take that into account? How do you look at the result, the positive result, but also what you need to improve when you're playing tomorrow? I think there are two games. I think they have very fast players. They can hurt you on the counter-attack and they can make the difference. Obviously, we've looked at the errors we made in the first leg. We lost the ball in a way that's not usual on a number of occasions, particularly in the second half. And it caused us certain level of nervousness. And then I think with the tactical change, improved the team. And then I think we had time to take our breath in the second half, and then it wasn't as bad in the second half. Could I ask you about last year when you were knocked out by Rome? Perhaps it was because of a lack of attitude. What do you think has changed? Do you see there's more desire, more willingness in the team? No, I think you'll learn a lot from errors. As I said, last year perhaps we were a little bit too relaxed, and the manager said that, particularly in the fourth goal, understanding how difficult it is playing in a Champions League. If you switch off for 1 minute, 30 seconds, they can score a goal, and then that warms up the fans. So I think we have to be conscious of what happens so it doesn't happen again. This is a special moment for Uruguayan football, given that we are the only Uruguayan channel here. Talking about from a footballing level, at Liverpool, what was it like coming from this club and what you learned at this stadium? Obviously, it made me better in so many ways. It made me more professional. It helped me to mature being here. A lot of technical things as well. When I came from Ajax, I did improve, but having players here that had some great experience allowed me to be better even more. I think being captain of Liverpool as well was one of the most proudest moments of my career. It's something that I won't forget. And we were very close when I was here. And as I said, playing in the elite, the reason I'm at Barcelona playing in the elite was because of Liverpool and what they made me. You have spoken a lot about last year without saying Roma. If Roma hadn't happened, how has Roma changed in the way that you approach this game, having won 3-0? Because the Champions League can bring you doubts. Because despite losing 3-0, well, it happened to us when we lost our game despite winning 3-0. It happened to us against Paris also. You have to be on guard all the time in the Champions League. And you have to be aware and not think that you're favourites, because afterwards you can suffer a significant blow. Your last goal in the Champions League away from home was perhaps 3.5 years ago against Rome. A player like you, who loves scoring goals, do you think about it a lot, having not scored in 3.5 years? And what would it mean to break that barren spell here in Anfield? No, if I score tomorrow, it would mean that we can feel relaxed, that Liverpool have to score more goals to be able to qualify. But it'd make me feel relaxed for the team, but not on a personal level. If we don't score, and then the team don't go through, then that would give you a sense of perhaps not feeling like you know what's happening. But it's not about me, it's not personal. It's not about me getting more goals on my account. After the 3-0 at the Nou Camp, what's the plan to go out tomorrow for the game? As I've said before, obviously, the fact that our opponent has some great players who can make the difference, we don't have to be complacent entering into this tie. The result perhaps doesn't tell you the whole story, the fact that they created a lot of chances. At the end, as also, it could have been either 4-1 or 3-1. So you have to be conscious how difficult it is to play in a Champions League semi-final against a team that managed to get to the final last year. And we have to be conscious of that. The atmosphere in Anfield, talking about your stage here at Liverpool when you played here, you've talked about how that you sometimes didn't feel like you were up for playing football. How did that feel? I wanted to say, when you came to Anfield, you often only thought about scoring 2 or 3 goals. What's your motivation this time? No, I was never not up for games. I was just talking about the atmosphere here in Anfield. You'd play a game against a team in the 5th division in the cup, and you'd come here and the stadium would be completely full, and it would motivate you. If you played the last Premier League game and then you weren't playing for anything, it would still be full. That's what motivated you. Today the motivation is different because I'm wearing a different shirt. And the motivation is wanting to win another Champions League, to go through so that the team can play in a final. So that's more than sufficient motivation, isn't it? Given you've played 2 intense matches, there are some fans that would boo you or whistle you. I don't know if you thought about that for tomorrow. Do you think Liverpool fans will whistle you tomorrow, for example? I think all the work that I did here and the way that I'm thankful for Liverpool, I think I was here for 3.5 years here, and I think the team had been 4 or 5 years without being in the Champions League, and I think in the last year we got into the Champions League. So I think people know the work that I did here, and I'm thankful for the club, to the club. I think there'll be more applause than whistles, and I think if people want to whistle me and it makes them happy, there'll perhaps be quite a few that aren't happy, but I think people will be more thankful and grateful. I think you see that people in the kitchen are waiting to give me a present for my children, so I think you see that love that's still there, the warmth are there for me. I've got a son that was born here, and it was the first stadium in which he was born. So you can work that out. Could I ask you on a personal level, how do you feel that you're coming into these last 2 games of the season? Your knee, how's it doing? How are you feeling physically? Everyone seems to have had a rest. I don't know if you feel 100% or not, but how do you feel? Obviously the season's a long one. So obviously there are some games in which you play because you want to arrive in your best physical state when you play important games. I've suffered with knee injury throughout the season, but it's what you have, and I think we have a great medical team at Barcelona who have helped me to arrive at the moment in optimum conditions, and I'm really looking forward to playing this final that we have left. A few months ago, we knew that it was spoken about people looking for a successor, or Barcelona looking for a successor for you. Maxi Gomez, for example, a Uruguayan player at Celta. When he was playing the other game in which he didn't play, do you think he could play for Barca? I think you're conscious of your age and you understand that you're getting older, and you have to meet the standards of Barcelona. You understand that perhaps in the future the club would need a successor for me. Forwards are spoken about often, but I think you have to understand to live with criticism at the club. Maxi is a player that belongs to Celta. He's a teammate of mine in the national team. He's a good player. He has all the tools, but I'm not someone to make the decision. We have a technical secretary who will decide who is the appropriate player to come and play for Barcelona.
Lo que fue su casa en Anfield.